Coca-Cola, the largest worldwide beverage company, owns over 500 brands of drink and is served in over 200 different countries. It's a business titan among the largest companies in the world, providing a significant impact in beverage research and development over the course of its time. But it wasn't always known as the horrifically diabetes-inducing, identifiable red can that pairs really well with 4th of July burgers and your probably way too strong whiskey drink. It actually started as a medical tonic with cocaine. On May 8th, 1886, John S. Pemberton produced the first ever Coca-Cola, delivering it to the pharmacy that he worked at, which did include cocaine and caffeine to cure specific ailments. What ailments, you might be thinking? Well, morphine addiction, hangover, hiccup remedy, headaches, and impotence. That means boners. This drink could quite literally do it all, and Pemberton claimed that it even cured his own morphine addiction. He originally named it Pemberton's French Wine Cola, which has a pretty nice ring to it. There were about 9 milligrams of cocaine in each bottle. By modern standards, that amount is laughable compared to the 75 milligrams my buddy Brad snorts every Thursday night at Theta Kappa Pi's Snot Till You Drop night, when he does a double gainer off the balcony under the beer dive table, and we all go, yeah, Brad! He's fucking sick. But it's still a pharmaceutically potent dose. I'm going to do a little bit of a time skip here and flash forward to the 30s and 40s. Wow, Coca-Cola was founded. Wow, they changed ownership. Wow, they took the cocaine out because of Prohibition. Big shocker. Now, around this time, moving away from the medicinally charged campaigns, Coca-Cola took a different approach, using it as like this good breakfast supplement because of the caffeine content. It was also just advertised as a general soft drink beverage, which by around World War II, it became an international success. By the end of World War II, they owned about 60% of the market share of all beverages. Since the war, however, Coca-Cola saw its returns diminishing because this new company, Pepsi Cola, with their less sharp and more sweet taste in their drink, began to overtake it, or at least become more of a competitor. And Pepsi was more popular with a younger demographic because of the sweeter taste compared to Coke. Over many taste tests that were led into the 80s, a lot of people preferred Pepsi over Coke at the time, and the market represented that as well, with Coca-Cola's market share being only about 24% at the time. The then CEO, Robert Guizeta, knew that something needed to change. Coca-Cola needed to do something big to get its audience back.
I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honeybees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing. Sing with me. Perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. And the real I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. And I'd like to buy the world.
The groundbreaking new idea to bring Coca-Cola back to its #1 spot in the beverage industry was to change the formula. Enter New Coke. Coca-Cola pined for a far sweeter taste so it could directly compete with Pepsi. Several secret taste tests were performed to test this new flavor of New Coke, and it actually revealed that people preferred the taste of New Coke over the original Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Because the CEO and the rest of its marketing team were hesitant to roll this out because it is such a drastic change to the then solidified taste of Coca-Cola. But that didn't stop them from saying that this was the easiest decision they've ever made. And, oh, I had no doubts launching New Coke. And, well, it did perform well when they did a soft launch in New York and Washington, D.C. The purchase rates of Coke were up about 8%. Based on the same time period last year. So the launch of New Coke had a pretty promising start, and it was predicted to be quite a success, at least nationally. But I would not be here talking to you if that were the case.
What's the matter, Wilbur?
They changed my Coke.
Something wrong with it?
I know, they sure changed it.
Coulda asked.
What coulda? I stuck with them through 3 wars and a couple of dust storms, but this is too much. guess something big made him change.
Right, big.
Look at it.
Right big.
The South are known for many things. But I bet you didn't know that they absolutely fucking love Coke. Other than their love for guns, beer, and racism for some reason, the South hold a lot of identity to the kinds of beverages that they like to drink. And Coke was one of them. I mean, hell, they call almost every soda Coke. The change of formula struck a weirdly personal chord with a lot of Southern citizens. Quoting a Mississippi professor at the time, changing Coca-Cola is an intrusion on tradition and thus would not be well received in the South. And well, he was right. As New Coke was shipped out nationally, establishments, restaurants, convenience stores would advertise that they were selling original Coke because they did not like the new formula. Shortly after the launch of New Coke, the Coca-Cola hotline received upwards of 1,500 calls a day from customers demanding that they change the old formula back. In total, during the entire New Coke campaign, it received about 400,000 calls nationwide. But even back then, talk show hosts like David Letterman and Johnny Carson publicly made fun of Coca-Cola for making this formula change. Fidel Castro, yes, that Fidel Castro, contributed to the backlash of New Coke, saying that it was, quote, a sign of American capital decadence. Guaizetta's own dad agreed with Castro, who was a Cuban refugee from the conflict that Fidel Castro was responsible of. Do you see the irony there? Many even thought the change was a communist plot. And I don't know, if I were to try to overthrow my government and change its political system, I probably wouldn't decide to change the flavor of a soda. That would definitely not be my first option, but it would definitely be up there. It'd be like top 20, probably, maybe top 10. Some really took this change of formula very personally, and they objected to it in very public ways. And we will take the time now to investigate somebody who may be the most salty consumer I've ever seen.
It's a national institution, and it's a part of the fabric of the United States. And when they don't make it and then prohibit me from getting it by keeping the secret formula, then that's not American.
I'm mad, Game Mullins told the reporter from the Washington Post. This makes me angry. I'm angry and I'm mad. I feel injured, betrayed, like a sacred trust has been violated. People are having anxiety headaches. They've been placed in a distressed state. Gay Mullins, a then 57-year-old retired medical researcher, took this change of formula quite personally and decided to form his own coalition, the Old Cola Drinkers of America. Mullins took out a loan from his bank to fund this coalition. And the organization's goal was simple: get the old Coke back. They've taken away my freedom of choice, he would tell people. It's un-American. At one point, the Old Cola Drinkers of America hotline, which was a 900 number, by the way, cost about $10,000 per week to upkeep, because that's how many calls that they were getting. $4 or $5, anti-Coke activists who would subscribe to the Old Cola Drinkers of America would get bumper stickers, they would get pins, they would get newsletters, and they would have the ability to network with people to organize protests in their local towns. In Atlanta, during a protest, somebody held up a sign that said, "My children will never know real refreshment." Like, these people fucking hated New Coke. Citing Fair Trade Commission rules and misleading product advertising, Mullins tried to get Coca-Cola to either revert to its old formula or give the formula to someone else so that they can make it. Mullins even led at least one class action lawsuit against Coca-Cola for false advertisement. Federal district judge Walter McGovern, who was a Pepsi enjoyer, by the way, rejected a lawsuit filed to force the Coca-Cola company to change its new taste back to its original 99-year-old formula. After the hearing, Gay Mullins, the president of Old Cola Drinkers of America, said the organization would file a suit within 30 days to restore the old Coke flavor. Today's suit was just to change the labeling, not to change the new Coke back to the old Coke, he said.
Attention Pepsi drinkers, introducing the new taste of Coca-Cola, the best Coca-Cola ever. That's all I'm going to say. In fact, that's all I have to say. No more words. This stuff is great. I'm sorry. Really, I'm sorry.
It suffices to say that New Coke was not a success. It is arguably the biggest blunder in global marketing history. Not only was it made fun of, publicly ridiculed, actively protested against at the local government and national government level, I think arguably more importantly, that was two adverbs, that was stupid. Almost more importantly, the hardworking people who worked for Coca-Cola that weren't even involved in the conflict were getting like the brunt end of some of this verbal and emotional harassment. Bottlers in the South reported being outright ostracized and ridiculed for something that wasn't even in their control, and they were shunned by people in the South, by their community. Bill Cosby, who was a former representative for Coke advertising, was worried that New Coke would ruin his credibility. And, I don't know, Bill. I think New Coke was the least of his credibility issues. PepsiCo, in this time of crisis, took advantage of this situation, and they ran several ads that were like actively antagonizing the Coke brand. One of them being a campaign where they say, "Now I know why Coke did it." Roger Enrico, then director of PepsiCo's North American operations, took out a full-page ad in the New York Times proclaiming PepsiCo the winner of the long-running Cola Wars. And declared a company-wide holiday on April 26th, saying, quote, "By today's action, Coke had admitted that it's not the real thing," which is crazy. Having a national holiday for a soda is fucking ridiculous. During a seemingly normal day, 77 full days after the new Coke launch, ABC's General Hospital was interrupted briefly for an announcement.
Coca-Cola is bringing back the real thing, its original formula. From Atlanta, where Coca-Cola is headquartered, Russ Jameson of WAGA-TV reports that too many cola drinkers had complained the new Coke wasn't it.
Original Coke was coming back. I kind of want a Coke now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go get a Coke. I'll be right back. I'm going to get into it later in this video, but I didn't know this existed. On the can it says original taste. See, it says Coca-Cola and then original taste. I got a real kick out of reading this part. David Pryor, Arkansas senator, said that it was a meaningful moment in U.S. history. They were $34 million in the hole after this marketing campaign, after the absolute flop of New Coke, for a product that they were apparently so sure of in its success. But now Coke, has a problem. Their attempt to appeal to, the younger demographic, which is, ages 13 through 30, because, that's Pepsi's direct forte, since that failed, how would they get the appeal back to their younger audiences with their Coke flavors? I don't know. I tried doing more research about it and nothing came up, but they want your money.
They don't want your love.
They just want money. They don't.
alive out there?
Good. This is Max Headroom.
Max Headroom, 20 Minutes into the Future, was a British TV short film that aired around 1985. And its main themes were involving large-scale company corruption and how we would imagine a world where corporations took over. It depicted this dystopian society that had these leaders basically feed on its citizens like pigs. And the movie was so successful that it launched 2 separate TV shows. One being a more narrative-driven show about Max Headroom and the people that surrounded his life. And then there was also like a talk show that was made of Max Headroom where short films, music videos, and like more trendy new wave stuff was shown. Excuse me. In like a direct anti-government,
Establishment.
take. And who is Max Headroom?
And the nuclear powers have just denied rumors that the world's waters are being polluted by
Nuclear waste.
They say that the pollution is being caused not by them, but by all the dead fish we have today in the sea. What I want to know is, why are the only funny lines on this show the ones behind me?
Well, Max Headroom was advertised as the first AI television host. I'm referring to the talk show. I had never heard of him before, but after like doing some research for this video, it's made me want to watch the show and also like get more invested into like the messages that these creators portrayed in their content, because it was way ahead of its time. Like some anti-government, self-aware, ironic, like incredibly satirical character being on public television that's actively speaking out against these establishments and these big corporations is
Kind of fucking awesome.
like, I don't know if that's corny to say, but that's pretty damn cool, I think. But that made me think, like, why would Coca-Cola want this guy? Well, Max had been making headway to American audiences and to specifically younger audiences with the talk show. It was picked up by Cinemax and published there in America, and a lot of people ages 13 to 30 watched a lot of Max Headroom. So if Coca-Cola could get this character to advertise for them, maybe people would see Max Headroom and think, oh, this guy's trendy and cool and he's weird and futuristic and new wavy. Yeah, maybe I'll buy a Coke. But it is shocking to me that somebody like Max Headroom ended up advertising for Coca-Cola. Like, it's as if the exact thing that the creators of Max Headroom were against, or like the things that Max as a character were against, ended up becoming the thing that they spoke out against by advertising for Coca-Cola, this big corporation. And I wasn't able to really get my idea across of what I really think the creators of Max Headroom did with this Coca-Cola advertisement. I kind of alluded to it, but I've been struggling with determining whether it was a cash grab.
Cash.
Just a total disregard for the things that they stood for, or if they wanted to do one of the craziest performative video art stunts I've ever seen. And I think I've come to the conclusion that it's a little bit of both. I think that, get your bag. Creators of Max Headroom, get your damn bag, right? Coca-Cola probably offered them so much money to do that. In doing that, in creating Max Headroom as a spokesperson for Coca-Cola, they've blended this character that they've created that speaks outwardly against corporations and puts him on the front face of one. Predictably and geniusly on the creators of Max Headroom's part, The advertisement worked. Several commercials starring Max were made, 2 of which were directed by Ridley Scott, maybe the most cleverly structured pitches ever aimed at the under 30 viewer. John Reed, Coke's SVP of marketing, claimed that 76% of teenagers had heard of Max after our first flight of ads. Coca-Cola slowly found its footing back after this marketing campaign. New Coke was still available, but it had way less purchasing power than its far cooler older brother, which is the one I'm drinking now. In an attempt at a further rebrand, Coca-Cola tried changing the name of New Coke to Coke 2 in 1990. I don't know what they were hoping for. I mean, maybe to get rid of the negative stigma from New Coke. 12 years later, Coke 2 was discontinued, and after the 15-year-long battle that New Coke was, it had finally been discontinued in 2002. The branding of the classic on the Coke cans were also shrinked around that time. By 2009, however, Coca-Cola had completely removed the classic branding from the Coca-Cola cans, completely erasing the history that was New Coke to its consumers. In 2019, though, with the super cool and popular show that definitely wasn't just a cash cow for its producers after the first season, Stranger Things launched their 3rd season, I believe, which was set in 1985. They launched about 500,000 more New Coke cans available for purchase. A lot of them were available online, but some of them were available in vending machines around New York and LA. But after that, there hasn't been a peep about New Coke. I mean, it's been over 6 years since that short little gimmicky revival, so I think it's safe to say that we let sleeping dogs lie and just never bring back New Coke again. The more I ended up researching into New Coke to make this video, which, thank you, Nora, for inspiring me, the more terrified I am of how integrated consumer culture is in American society, and even in 1985. We are constantly being advertised to, even when we stray away from our magical information box of infinite wisdom and also a lot of porn. Billboards telling you what to buy, television ads selling you a product. I've even seen benches have advertisements on them. Our video games, our movies, our TV all have this rampant product placement in them. It's disorienting to be watching like an epic fight scene in a movie, and then as he's throwing a nasty left hook, I notice, oh, what the fuck, is that a Pizza Hut box in the corner? Oh, you guys got Kool-Aid jammers in the warehouse too? Type shit? Really? Can't feel comfortable disrespecting people who like take brand identity quite seriously, because it's all around us. We are taught from a very young age that it is what is important and it is what we should care about. We should want to care about the console wars, Xbox versus PlayStation versus PC. I think it's just really alarming that the common person cares so much about celebrities, different influencers, different brands, different products. Nobody should care about Coke so much that they create a coalition and form a hotline. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is when we're on our deathbed, we're not going to be thinking about the best Coca-Cola that we've ever had. We're not going to be thinking about the time we went to go buy a Patagonia coat with our mom. We won't think about our favorite small internet content creator, Mike'splosion, who doesn't even know who we are on the internet. We're going to think about the things that were truly important in our lives. Things that made a great impact. Happiness, despair, things that raise our consciousness and bring our existence to new limits and new heights. Things that give us the power to love, to hope, to care, and to grieve. Like the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 15 Extinction Hour. This time, there's aliens, and it gets pretty crazy.